so replacement of the motor. So in this case, the new motor shall have mechanical feature which ensure the proper operation of the equipment for every load condition. So we don't want to have, for example, a motor which is not able to withstand a full load of an escalator going downwards or upwards. All the power lines and protection device shall be replaced, and a phase control device and a speed reversal device shall be provided. So speed reversal device is a critical situation for escalator, as you may know. There might be a runaway, so that's why it's very important to have this speed reversal device, which is a device checking when the speed of the step band is reversing. Drive replacement, also an important part of the escalator. So when a new drive is not the same as the replaced one, the fixing connection to the truss must be checked. So nobody wants that there is a disconnection between a drive and the truss, very critical situation. And of course, the nominal speed of the step or the pallet band of the escalator moving ropes shall not exceed the one of the existing equipment. So same or less, not more. The last sentence we will find often in this code, which is protection against moving parts. So any situation we need to protect the operator from moving parts. Now this is, I think, the most important alteration to an existing escalator, because the electrification system alone, I would say, increased the safety level of an existing escalator by, I would say, 80%, because we do replace all and each of the safety devices. So in this case, when we replace the controller, the new controller shall comply with the requirements of the M15.1, including some annexes, which are B, C, and D, and E. Those annexes are the one related to the design of a fail-safe electronic circuit, which are the circuits embedded into the controller. Then, if not present, an inspection control device must be provided. Here I need to open a bracket, because the last version of the norm is asking for an inspection device operated by both ends of the operation, not like in the past, just one end. In the past it was possible to operate an escalator with one end, and the other hand could be used, for example, to avoid the step chain or putting that in some dangerous situation. So in this case, we need both ends on the inspection device. Sorry. All safety devices included in latest requirements of the M15.1 must be there. And then, of course, this is important requirement, when replacing the controller, the complete electrification must be replaced as well. So all the safety device, all the cabling, all the wirings, not just the controller. And if not present, the sockets, so the power plugs must be replaced. Emergency stop button in the machinery space, so for the engineers. A portable lamp of at least 200 lux, and again, protective guards for accessible or not accessible dangerous parts. Very good. So, we have seen what are the requirements if I replace the complete electrification. Now, if somebody wants to just add a new component to an existing controller or electrification, how we should behave according to this code. So in this case, the indication is again that the altered or added component shall comply with the latest requirements of the M15.1. And now there is a very important sentence. So when a new inverter, not previously existing, is added to a unit, the conformity of the braking system to the requirements of the M15.1 shall be verified. So one could ask, why if I change an electrical part I need to check the braking system? So that is immediately clear if you understand that the latest version of the M15.1 was allowing the so-called dynamic braking. So dynamic braking is when the electromechanical brake, which is always present on the escalator, is helped in its service by the inverter or frequency converter. So basically, the braking distance or the acceleration of the escalator is independent by the load on the step band, so independent by the number of people riding the escalator. And we need to remind that the service brake on the escalator has two main requirements. The first one is the braking distance. So, for example, for a typical speed of an escalator of 0.5 meter per second, the braking distance is between 20 centimeter and 1 meter. So, of course, 1 meter is towards the full load of the escalator. 20 centimeter is when the escalator is working at no load. But there is another very important requirement, which is a deceleration requirement. So the deceleration when the service brake is activated must not exceed 1 meter per square second. And this is very important requirement. So now it's pretty clear why if we add an inverter to an existing escalator, we need to check also the braking system. At this point, I always remind that escalators sometimes, often, they have an auxiliary brake as well. Auxiliary brake is always needed when you have a public service escalator or when an escalator is exceeding a vertical rise of 6 meters. But the auxiliary brake has just one requirement, the deceleration. So this auxiliary brake must just bring the escalator to a stop in a controlled way, not exceeding 1 meter per square second deceleration. And this is very important to remind. So, different requirements for auxiliary brake and service brake. Of course, if I'm adding an automatic restart system or a remote restarting or stopping system to an existing escalator, I need to fully comply with the requirements of the M15 Part 1. Now we come to the, let's say, final and most important requirement of this code, and this is explaining why they could be used as a baseline for other countries in Europe if they want to develop their own version of the safety code for alteration to existing escalator, which are, of course, the method to check conformity to the requirements. So this is a table. This is not a complete table, it's just an excerpt, but it's a part of a table showing how we could check the conformity to the requirements. So you can check that through measurement or calculation testing, or of course if you are altering the braking test. And this can be mix and match. So for example, replacement of alteration of outer cladding, we require both measurement calculation and testing. If it is just, for example, sprinkler addition, then you need just the testing. Everybody wants to have their sprinkler tested before putting the escalator in service. And for example, there are cases like structural design when only calculation is needed. So these are the methods allowed. Same requirements are, of course, required by the M15 Part 1 and Part 2. This is nothing new. In every code, we try to stay in the same direction of the previous code if existing, but this one was not existing. So we try to check what is available. Last table is related to the technical documentation to be provided when finishing the alteration. And as you can see, there are 4 types of technical documentation, so B, C, D, and E. You can read at the top of the slide. So B is the product declaration of conformity, C is the certificate of conformity to technical norm and self-certification, D is the wiring diagram, and E is the operating and maintenance manuals. You can also find them on the right side of the slide in the column. Of course, if there is a flag, you have to have this documentation. If there is, the wording IP is only if pertinent. So if your alteration requires that type of document, it must be provided. This is the same table as the one before. Also here, for each and every clause and alteration, we have the documentation to provide. So this is, I think, concluding my presentation. And of course, as a final word, I would like to thank again Vfa Forum for hosting me. And I would like to remind that 2022 is marking the 5th year anniversary of Elevatori Magazine, so this is also good to remind. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, enjoy the session. Thank you. I don't know if there are questions, I'm open for questions.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Ausführungen, war interessant, dass man nicht nur über Aufzüge hört, sondern auch mal über Fahrtreppen, die ja nicht ganz so stark hier vertreten sind auf der Messe, aber ich glaube, ein ebenso wichtiges Thema darstellen bezüglich der Sicherheit, die Sie hier erläutert haben. Gibt es aus der Runde noch Fragen? Das ist nicht der Fall. Dann darf ich mich bei Ihnen bedanken und wünsche Ihnen noch viel Spaß auf der Messe.